Good morning, still. Welcome back. I want to thank you guys for doing such a great job this morning. You really paid a lot of attention, and I greatly appreciate it. So it's now my thrill to introduce our keynote speaker, Frazer Buntin. Frazer graduated. I'm stalling a little bit, waiting for his father to get back in the room. He's heard. First of all, is James still here? All right, James, give it up for James Buntin. So Frazer is a 1993 graduate of MBA. He's worked in strategic and operations leadership positions for the past 25 years. Mr. Buntin is currently the Chief Operating Officer of Wayspring Health, which provides services to substance use disorders. Mr. Buntin previously served as the president of Value-Based Services Division for Evolent Health. Prior to joining Evolent, Mr. Buntin served as Chief Executive Officer for White Glove Health. Mr. Buntin received a master's degree in business administration from Vanderbilt University and a Bachelor of Science from Sewanee. What you don't know about Mr. Buntin is last summer he paddleboarded 30 miles across Lake Michigan without any kind of assistance at all. A little trivia there. James, did you know that? I don't know what you did to traumatize him so much, but he paddleboarded across Lake Michigan. He's into the outdoor activities. The Buntin family has been a mainstay at MBA for years. Frazer's father, Jeffrey Buntin's back there. Wave, Jeffrey. He's a class of 1959. Frazer has a brother, Jeffrey, who graduated in 1991. He had two sons. One of them's graduated in 22. That would be Gates, who many of you remember. And then the little brother, Rush, is a junior. Frazer's mother, Verena, is back there as well. Wave to Verena. She is the first female trustee at Montgomery Bell Academy. I don't know when that happened, Verena. What year was that? 1994. She became MBA's first female trustee, and she serves in a prominent role on the executive committee today. Frazer was the keynote speaker last year and did a great job. He asked if he could do it again, so I'm going to turn things over to Frazer Buntin.
That's yours. All right. Hey, gentlemen. The reason you have to sit up front today is me. I didn't want you guys sitting in the back playing Brawl Stars or something, so forced you up front. I can't believe you're seniors. It has been so fun to cheer you guys on at sports. That includes getting my eardrums blown out by Jordan's dad's whistle at every sporting event, watching Jake's dad get thrown out of a basketball game in 9th grade, coached a few of you. I've spent time in the outdoors with a few of you, and had a catastrophically embarrassing arm wrestling loss to Owen Willers. Owen, we might have to have a rematch in poolside in the Dominican Republic next week or something. He's not human. He's not human. You can't be beat. All right. Today, we're not going to talk about what I do because that would not be very interesting to you guys. We're going to talk about the path of my career, which I think will be somewhat interesting. So we're going to cover a couple of things. One is we're going to use my story to help you understand how your career may unfold and what you may encounter along the way. Two, we're going to talk about the career goal that every person wants, no matter what they're doing. And three is talk about the most important things you can do now and during college. All right, I did a little research on you guys, class of 2024. And specifically, I looked at the aspirations of this group, and I wanted to call out a few things. Start a business. That was one of you. That's a pretty good one. Starting a little ambiguous here. Become an architect, lofty aspiration. Have my own law firm, good one, good aspiration. Become a sports analyst, getting a little bit more specific. That's good. Mechanical engineer at SpaceX, getting even more specific. And very specifically, become a long-haul commercial pilot for United Airlines. That is The guy who loves to destroy the Innsworth football fans, Mr. Liam Hackett, right? One of my highlights of the last year for you. On the other side, getting really specific, obtain an Audi R8. Be successful and wealthy, Walker Derryberry. Keep it real, man. Most random, own a vineyard and a professional wrestler. I don't know if that means own a professional wrestler or be a professional wrestler. And lastly, the most aspirational of all aspirations, Zeke, President of the United States. All right, every one of you at some point is going to have this feeling. I feel like I don't know what I was meant to do. I remember having this feeling so much 5 years from the seat that you guys are in now when I graduated college and had this angst around, I have to find the perfect job and the perfect career. And I remember going to lunch with my dad one day and saying, you know what, I think I just need to get a job and get started. And he was like, that's a good idea. So we're going to talk about this feeling today and how it unfolded on my career. So what am I meant to do? That is actually not the right question. That is an unanswerable question because most of us are generalists and you don't know what you're going to do at 20. You're probably going to not know what you want to do at 30 or even 40, and that's okay. The right question is, what is the next best thing I can do right now? And if you make a bunch of really good decisions on the next best thing, you'll look up and you will have had a really meaningful career. So we're going to talk about that. All right, what your career path will look like. It's going to look like a funnel. Each of these bands is a job. When you graduate from college, the world will be absolutely wide open. You can work in finance in New York City, or you can rent jet skis in Costa Rica. That's about how wide the aperture is. And what you'll do is you'll have a process of selection, things you want to keep doing. So you might say, you know what, I like finance, but things you don't like. And you don't want to keep doing. And you may hate New York City, and so you're like, okay, I want to do finance, but I'm going to do that in Charlotte, North Carolina, because I want to get back to a smaller town or a town in the South. And then you may do that for a few years, and your third job might be finance in Charlotte, but it might be mergers and acquisitions. So you're constantly looking at what do I like, what do I not like, and honing in on that. And at the end of that, you'll get to what I call the funnel stem, and this is the goal. We're going to come back to that. I am moving quickly because I don't have a ton of time. The funnel stem is 3 areas overlap. This is the dream. This is what everybody wants at some point in your career. You're well compensated, you're good at your job, and you're working in an industry that you like. You may not get to all 3 of those. You may only get to 1 of those, you may only get to 2 of those. If you get to 3, it's probably going to be late in your career, but that is the sweet spot for most people. All right, so you think this funnel stem process is going to be linear, like I'm going to get in finance and I'm going to stay in finance forever. It's actually going to look like this. I called in some graphic designers to help. It might feel like this, graphic designer. So this is what it might feel like along the way. My path in college, I went to Swanee. I did a lot of this. I did a lot of this. I didn't do a lot of this. My dad is especially laughing because he had a front row seat to this. After Swanee, I went to New Zealand. I worked, I saved money, I lived at home, I ate ramen noodles. I saved a couple of $1,000s because I wanted to go to New Zealand with a backpack, a fly fishing rod, and my camping gear for as long as I could. So I went with another graduate from MBA, a buddy of mine, Austin, and we did a lot of this, and we did a lot of this. And this was a $500 car we bought the second day we were in New Zealand. This is the third day. I tried to drive it on the beach and buried it up to the axles as the tide was coming in. Fortunately, a random Kiwi guy came and pulled us out. I recommend traveling if you can after college. Get it out of your system. There's no other time in your life when you can go for 3 months and just be nomadic and really explore the world. That was a great experience for me, and it really helped me reset my values. So now I'm going to take you through my career. What are all these stops? And I'm going to go through the company and the jobs that I had at these companies, and I'm going to talk about how this unfolded. My first stop was at a company that's based here in Nashville, Dollar General Corporation. In my brilliant wisdom of 22 years old, I had no idea what I wanted to do, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to read the business section of the newspaper. This was when we had newspapers, And I'm going to look for companies that are either doing something really well, and I'm going to go for those companies, or I'm going to look at some companies that are doing something bad that are in the newspaper, and I'm going to stay away from those. Dollar General had just built a $300,000 new corporate headquarters that had a fitness center, and it was modern, and a cafeteria, and they were hiring all these jobs. This is how old I am. So I went to the newspaper. Jobs were still posted in the newspaper. A few were online. And I looked up, and I found a job for a logistics planner. I didn't know what the word logistics meant. The internet was barely around, so I couldn't even really Google what logistics meant. But it was an entry-level job, and I had enough confidence to say I was going to go for it. We move 9,000 truckloads of merchandise a month. Retail is all about buying stuff, moving stuff, and selling stuff. So I was in the moving department. So I went down there and I applied for the job. I wore a suit. I was 10 minutes early. I was articulate because I had taken classes like you guys and I knew how to speak intelligently. When I was done, I sent a handwritten thank you note the next day because I'd been taught by people like your teachers and parents, and I got the job. 2 years later, I was promoted to the logistics manager. There were 6 other people there. I was the youngest person, I was the newest person, and I was promoted to manager because I asked for more work and I asked more questions and I made the most ideas of that team and was promoted. I was running a $140 million transportation logistics department around age 26. What I learned, just get started. Just get started on your career. Just don't worry about it being the perfect path for you. Also, the bar is so low these days, guys. If you go to the office and you ask for more work and you make suggestions, people like me will think you're an incredible employee. So that's really what you have to do to get those early promotions. And then lead people as quickly as you can. The sooner you can be a manager of people, the faster you'll rise in an organization. Those were jobs 1 and 2. I stayed at Dollar General. Remember I said retail is about buying, moving, and selling? I moved over into the buying part. Dollar General had 8,000 stores. Each one did $1 million in revenue. That's an $8 billion business. $1.2 billion of that came from the exciting world of cleaning and paper products. Think about paper towels, Tide, cleaning products. So I was the associate buyer. I'm going to tell you 2 stories about bleach. The first buyer was a guy named Jerry Vick, crazy UT fan. He had an orange UT room at his house in Gallatin. He had an orange UT pool table. It was painted orange. He loved UT. One day I came to work. His name was Jerry Vick, and I'm like, where's Jerry? They said, Jerry got fired. We sold 3 million bottles of bleach a week. And Jerry had gotten his son a job at one of the bleach companies, and his son was getting a $1 kickback for every bottle of bleach that we sold. That means Jerry's son was making $30,000 a week illegally off of Dollar General, and he got fired. And they said, Frazer, congratulations, you're now the buyer of cleaning and paper products, and I had been there 6 months, and I had no idea what I was doing. Second story on bleach. About a month later, I get a phone call from a store manager. The store manager says, the bottom of our bleach bottles are bulging up, and I have about 100 bleach bottles that are wobbling on the shelf. That's not good because bleach is basically acid. So I had the IT department send a voicemail or a message out to all 8,000 stores that said, if you have any bulging bleach bottles, call Frazer Buntin at this number. I go to lunch in the cafeteria, have a nice lunch, come back up to my office. My desk phone is flashing that there's a message. I pick up, I check the voicemail. You have 1,380 voicemails. And I start listening to voicemails. And it's thousands and thousands of stores that say, I have 200 bottles of bleach that's expanding. I have 300 bottles of bleach that's expanding. So something had happened and we got a bad batch of bleach. And I had to reverse engineer about $200,000 of swollen bleach. Guess who wants to go around to 8,000 Dollar General stores all over the world and pick up swollen bleach bottles? No one. No one wants to do that. It was an impossible task to get done, but I had to do it. So the lesson there is, number one, you can switch departments in a company. If you get hired to work logistics, you can move over to purchasing. If you get hired in human resources, you can move over to finance. The second is crap will happen. Crap's going to happen in your career, and you have to persevere through that crap. All right, third stop, Dollar General Corporation. Actually, third stop, not yet. So throughout this, they had a tuition reimbursement program. So Dollar General paid for my business school. I worked full-time and I went to business school at Vanderbilt while I was there for 2 years. It was really hard, but I got a free education out of it. Finally applied myself. Not so much MBA, not so much Swanee, finally at Vanderbilt. An advanced degree can accelerate your career. So my next job there was director of store operations. I mentioned this facility had a workout room. So every day at lunch, we had 650 people at our corporate office, and every day at lunch I'd go down and get a workout in. There were only 2 people out of 650 that used that workout facility. One was me, and the other was the president of the company. Not the CEO, but the number 2 guy, president of the company, Lawrence Jackson. And I'm like, you know what? I want Lawrence to know who I am because he's a pretty important guy. So one day, Lawrence is over on the leg extension machine, and I see he has a Harpeth Hall shirt on. And I'm like, bingo, this is my entrance. So I saddle up to the crunch machine, and I'm like, hey, you have, I knew he had 2 daughters. I said, your daughters go to Harpeth Hall? And we start talking, and I explained my sister went to Harpeth Hall and other connections, and then he asked me where I went to school. I said MBA, and immediately he perked up and saw me in a different caliber. That's just the reality of the world, the same way people will see you guys. So fast forward a couple of months later, Lawrence comes to me and says, out of 40,000 employees at Dollar General, we're going to pick 8 people out of their jobs, and for the next 2 years, they're going to get to work on this really important store operations project. And he said, do you want to be one of those? You need to lead the feature merchandising part of this project. Can you do that? I didn't even know what feature merchandising was, but I said, yes, absolutely, I can do that. Lawrence went on to be the buyer in charge of all purchasing for Walmart. That may not sound like much, but he bought $500 billion worth of merchandise. He was the biggest buyer in the world of merchandise, and he and I still keep in touch. I have his cell phone number, and we text all the time. This guy was my boss on that project, Jeff Owen. Jeff Owen went to NBA 1987. He scored 74 points at Vanderbilt as a kicker and was most recently CEO of Dollar General, which is now a $20 billion business. My point in all of this is get to know the leaders any way possible. I could have sat in that fitness center and not made the uncomfortable conversation of going and connecting with Lawrence, but I did, and it changed the direct trajectory of my career. Being on that project was absolutely pivotal. So get to know the CEOs and the leaders within that. And then say yes, even if you don't know what you're doing. All right, stop 2, Healthways. I didn't want to be in discount retailing because it was boring, so I moved over to healthcare. Senior Director of Store Operations. This is a picture of a ball bearing plant in Syracuse, New York. I was running a company within Healthways that would go on site to employers, and we would do a mini physical screening, but kind of a wellness screening. We had to do a blood draw on people. And to do the blood draw, everybody who participated at the company couldn't eat for 12 hours. So there were 450 people who worked for this ball bearing plant in Syracuse, New Jersey. I was at home the day we were supposed to do this screening event, asleep at 5 o'clock in the morning, and my phone rings. And it's the head of the company who says, hey, the people you were supposed to have come do this exam didn't show up, and we've shut down the ball bearing plant, and we have 450 really angry blue-collar workers here. What the heck are you going to do to fix this? So we had to cancel the whole event. I had to fly up to Syracuse, New York in February in negative 20 degrees. I had to drive to this place, find the door, apologize to 450 angry blue-collar ball-bearing worker folks, and redo it. The point in that is building companies is fun, but when you are the leader and the crap hits the fan, it's up to you to get on a plane and fly to Syracuse in negative 20 and solve the problem. So if you want the title, you're going to be stuck with the hard work that comes with it. My next stop, not a good logo. I always thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know if I had the guts to do it. So when I was 32 years old, on January 1st one day, I said, you know what? I'm tired of talking about this. I'm going to spend the next year trying to buy or start a company. And if I don't do it in the next year, I'm going to shut up, and it wasn't meant to be, and I'm just going to move on. So I ended up, within that year, actually within 14 months, 13 months, ended up raising $1.6 million from local people within Nashville, bought a small healthcare company in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, And I remember going with my business partner to Staples or Office Depot, and we had nothing. And we bought our first pen, and we bought our first stapler, and we bought our first notebook, and literally starting absolutely from scratch to start this company. This isn't a picture of a school, this is a picture of a prison. So we bought the company from a nurse practitioner named Diane Smith, who is the Peyton Manning of geriatric urology. Don't worry, you don't have to know what geriatric urology is. 3 months after we purchased the company from her, she was an employee. We had hired a bunch of people. We'd spent about $300,000. She comes to us and says, hey, I'm being investigated by the federal government for insurance fraud. We had to fire her about a week later. All of our employees looked up to her, and she spent 6 months at this prison in West Virginia. I had to go up to all my investors 3 months after starting this company and say, hey, we have a major, major problem. Do you want your money back? Because the lady who we bought this company from, who's kind of important, is going to prison. They said, keep going, we have faith in you. We think you can do it. So take risks early in your career and go for it. And when you go for it, really crazy stuff may happen. All right, next stop was White Glove Health. So I'm CEO of SilverCare Solutions, and I get a call from a private equity company that says, hey, we want you to become CEO of White Glove Health. And I said, I can't do that. I'm already CEO of this company that I started. And they said, well, we really need somebody. So I went back to my board of directors and I said, hey, I think we can sell SilverCare to White Glove Health, but I need to go be CEO of that company. And they were like, fine, go for it. Things weren't going great at White Glove. So I was CEO of SilverCare. I was CEO of White Glove. I was trying to sell SilverCare to White Glove while at the same time. The reason they wanted me to come be CEO of White Glove Health was the former CEO was a crazy guy, and the business was losing $900,000 a month in profit, $900,000 a month. So the first thing I did was I get the finance books, and I'm like, where is this money going? And they tell me it's going here and it's going there. This is a picture of a ballroom dancing studio. This guy had taken $17,000 of the company money, had built out a ballroom dancing studio in the office. He'd spent $17,000 on that hardwood floor so he could take ballroom dancing lessons during lunchtime. That's a terrible recipe for business success as a CEO, and that's what got him fired and got me hired. So I was there for about 6 months. I ended up selling them part of SilverCare, and then I moved on because I didn't think it was a great business. What I learned later in your career, be honest with what you do, what you want to do, and what you don't. I could be picky at this point, and I decided I didn't want to do that. And then move on when you need to. All right, next stop, Evolent Health. This was 3 jobs: market president, regional president, division president. I joined Evolent Health. I was the 300th employee, and we had about $65 million in revenue. When I left 6 years later, we had 4,000 employees, $800 million in revenue. We took the company public, did an IPO. My boss is the tall guy in the middle, who is the chief operating officer. This was all of us up there ringing the bell. You notice I'm not there. I was supposed to be standing right next to him. You also notice Friday the 5th, that's June the 5th, also the birthday of James' sister Neely. When you have the choice to ring the bell on a New York Stock Exchange or be there for your 6-year-old daughter's birthday, pick the birthday. What I learned, follow good companies and leaders, not jobs or salaries, and balance your family when you have one. That's very important. All right, Mary, I'm moving quickly. I know Jody took some of my time, so that takes me through where I am today. Wayspring, I'm the chief operating officer. We work in the drug and alcohol addiction space. I love what I do. I am at the intersection of the funnel stem. I'm well compensated. I'm good at operations, and I really like this business. This is a lady who lives in Memphis named Elizabeth. She was addicted to heroin and crack cocaine. She grew up with an uncle who sexually molested her. She was raped twice and had 2 kids. She's in recovery. She's got a job. She's doing great. She's become a friend of mine. These are the types of people that we help, which is why I love what we do. Later in your career, you can be really selective because you will be good at what you do. So pay it forward. I really think about my work as paying it forward. All right, so case study of the funnel stem. Here's a case study. Let's say well compensated. You judge that to be $150,000. This would be a person. Let's say the person likes design and they like outdoors adventure. A role for this person, a dream job for this person might be to be the vice president of clothing design for Patagonia. That's what this could look like. All right, things you can do now. Build a network of business leaders from the parents of your friends. The moms and dads of the people in this room have great jobs with great companies. You see us as moms and dads. I encourage you to start to see us as your professional network. I told Luke Riccadelli this in the Silo program sophomore year. I was his mentor. Like, call me anytime. Connect me your LinkedIn. I will go to bat for you. I'll have coffee with you. I'll help you with career advice. I'll bounce ideas off of you. So start to see us differently. 2 is get internships from the summer. These are somewhat important. You won't know what you're doing. You will contribute very little, but it will get you started somewhere and will work. Richard Cummins, who is a few years older than you guys, did an internship with our company, and he has a great job in Nashville now. That's how it works. Third, create a LinkedIn account. So people search for you, they will find more than your 5th grade Fortnite video on the internet. So you want to have a presence. So create a LinkedIn account, even if you just put school and a few things on there. All right, things you should have learned today. Your career will take a very winding path. Don't worry that much, really, where your career starts. 2, the personal and professional growth happens when stuff is hard. You're going to have a bunch of hard times. Embrace that. 3rd is do the next best thing. If you just make a bunch of really good decisions on the next step, you're going to look back and your career will be composed of a bunch of good decisions and it will be meaningful. And then lastly, do fun stuff along the way. I have done a bunch of fun stuff along the way with a lot of my MBA class. And make time for that, because you're going to look up one day, you're going to be 49 years old, and your son's going to be leaving this place or somewhere like that. So with that, thanks guys. Appreciate you having me.
All right, thank you, Mr. Buntin. So,
Real quick.
yep.
I will be around if anybody wants to, has questions. If you want to email me, I'm in the book. Anything, please reach out as well. Yeah.
Thank you again. All right, guys, we have lunch next in the field house. So same place where you got dinner last night for the father-son. It'll be on that side of the field house. I understand some of you waited till today to get your tux fitted for prom. If you have to do that, please do that extremely quickly before you head over to the field house. You have a number on your name tag. That is the station that you're going to start for the roundtable session that starts at 1. So please take a look at that. The roundtable session will be on the opposite side from where you're getting lunch. Go for it. Okay. Sorry. We should just build in more time.
Yeah.